Our email question comes in tonight, and it's interesting, kind of related but not related. It comes from Mel, Jim, and it's pretty serious. In a personal injury or wrongful death trial, are there certain facts about the deceased, like their income or how many kids they have, that are not allowed to be shared with the jury? When this email question came across this week, we kind of looked at this one. You kind of feel like there's some emotion behind it a little bit. Interesting question for you.
Absolutely. And it is an interesting question, and the answer is kind of depends on where you're at, where the wrongful death is based. In most jurisdictions, including Mississippi, you are allowed to go into the fact of family members of the deceased, what they earn. All of that is admissible, and it's actually the basis of the wrongful death claim. That's what you're entitled to recover, or basically those elements and some others. Interestingly, in a neighboring state of Alabama, it's really the opposite.
Gotcha.
Alabama is one of the few states in the country that treat all wrongful deaths as basically punitive damages. It's basically the value of life is precious, and you're to be punished if a life is taken.
I see.
And so, really, evidence of the fact that we missed the deceased, that we had a great relationship, that they earned money that we would depend on to live going forward, that we're being deprived of. None of that generally comes in any significant way in a wrongful death case.
In Alabama.
It's being tried in Alabama.
How about that?
The opposite here.
Pretty big change. That's a pretty big difference right there.
It's a dramatic difference, and I've tried cases in both jurisdictions, and the way you try those cases is dramatically different, and it's interesting, actually.
Well, Mel's question really kind of goes to, you were talking about a minute ago, what the jury can hear. It does seem like if you had a wrongful death case or some sort of serious injury, you'd be able to bring up what their income was or how many children and stuff like that. But just like you're saying, the jury just doesn't get to hear that here in Mississippi.
Well, they get to hear, not insurance. They don't get to hear insurance, but they do get to hear in Mississippi the amount that the deceased would have earned over their lifetime to support their loved ones. They get to hear how many children he's got. They get to hear, the number of children over there, but basically nothing in Alabama is considered in front of the jury in terms of economic loss, how much he would have made. It's just simply, this person was killed, we think wrongfully, we think you shouldn't award X amount. And over here, you would have a detailed basically testimony, if you're trying that case appropriately, of what the economic losses would be, what the relationship with his dependents was, and a jury would award or be allowed to provide a verdict for those figures.
These are hard things to try to figure out what a man or woman's life would have been, and how it's just emotion. I mean, you just can't get around it, and how to support the kids. And
trying these cases, and people sitting on juries do a great service, because it's not.
Great point.
A lot of these cases I deal with are tragic. They're hard to listen to, the facts of them. But in our great system, who better to do it than other people in the community and decide what's fair.
That's right. Mel, great question tonight, and yes, we took that on a Saturday night live while it's raining outside. We do not back away from the hard email questions here. That's a fact.